Hi, everybody. This morning I wanted to take some time and talk about some dreams that I've had. These dreams span a number of years. They cover a variety of topics, and I just wanted to be sure that I was able to share these, to put these out on the internet, and to make them available for encouragement and for warning and for strengthening for folks. So, the first one I want to talk about today is my earliest warning, my earliest dream that I can remember that the Lord gave me pertaining to like the end times and anything like that. In this dream, I was running through the woods. May have been a forest, may have been a jungle forest, and may have been a wooded forest, but it was very thick. There was a lot of vegetation, and I was running very fast, and we were chasing something, and I realized that there were a number of people with me, a number of my friends, and we were running, and each of us had a weapon. Many of us had guns. They varied from a variety of rifles, hunting rifles, to assault rifles and military weapons, and we were all running. And I recognized a few of the brothers. They were friends of mine from college, and this dream took place right around the time of the end of the 80s and the early 90s, when the wall, the Berlin Wall, and the communist Russia was falling apart, and so the former Soviet Union. So we were running and running and chasing, and I could hear voices, and they said, "Over here, over there," and we would change direction, and they said, "He went up there." And so we ran into a clearing, and before us was a very wide clearing, but at the very end of it, we looked up, and there was a very tall, tower-looking mountain. It had very steep cliffs on the facing side, and up at the top, we could hear a roaring and a rumbling. We could hear a roaring while we were chasing through the woods, and I caught glimpses of the animal, and it was like a bear, a big bear. And so we got to the clearing, and we could hear that there was like a cave at the top of the mountain, and the bear was holed up in the cave. And somebody said, "We've got it now. We've got it trapped." And then we heard it let out a ferocious roar, and it came out and peeked over the cliff, and it looked like a man. It looked like a very large naked man covered in hair, so you could still see his skin. And he had the face of a man and a bear. And all of a sudden somebody said, "Here he comes," and he leapt high into the air so that we had to stretch our necks to look up, and then he came crashing down right in front of us. And just as he did, everyone opened fire, and they said, "Get him, get him," and everyone was pulling the trigger on whatever weapon they had. And finally it was as though he was destroyed, and I kind of moved forward a bit. There was a hole in the earth, his body was embedded in it, and there was like smoke or steam coming off him, and he was incredibly large. And I looked over at another friend, and he glanced back at me and said, "It isn't over yet." I believe that dream represented the fall of the Soviet Union, and many Christians at that time were praying that the Soviet Union would fall, and that the doors would open up, and that Christians and Jews would leave and flee the Soviet Union from all the different countries. And for a good bit of time, Russia and the former Soviet states had a hard time recovering from the fall. But they never forgot. And they never, I believe it was very much in their mind to come back stronger. And I think that time is proving that to be true. But this was the first end times dream I've ever received, and it was a number of years ago, but it was very vivid and very real, and it really affected me when I woke up. But I just thought I'd share. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Gonna make more of these, so please stay tuned. I love you. God bless you, and Jesus is coming soon.